acne and blubber by magazines, TV shows, every single movie, family members, and every peer that happened to be thin enough to shop at Fashion Bug while I browsed the accessories. I was Ursula. I was Fat Monica. I was every chubby girl who made an excuse to not go to the pool party. I was the sidekick and never the love interest. It didn't help that my childhood was a wishy-washy world of instability as I went back and forth between my Italian grandparents' house in the Bronx, where they would withhold pasta from my plate because I was too chubby, and my mother's house in Virginia, where she drank more than she ate and refused to let me be anything other than a kid on a diet. In fact, I don't remember a moment during that time where I wasn't trying to find ways to be smaller. I remember going into a dressing room with my mother when I was 12, as she tried to squeeze me into a skirt much smaller than my preteen body, and exclaiming for the entire dressing room to hear, "Laura, you've got to lose some of this weight." My weight was a constant problem for everyone else, even for my younger brother, who one day, during the summer, brought me outside to our concrete backyard in the Bronx and insisted I do sprints so that he didn't go to high school with a fat sister. Honestly, I don't blame them. Not because they were right. They weren't. But because they were doing what they thought was right. None of us were taught to love ourselves. None of us understood the impacts of negative self-image. None of us had the language to express the connection between loving your body and experiencing pleasure. And as a result, from that point, I desperately wanted to be thin. I spent ages 12 to 26 as an on-again, off-again bulimic, with a tendency toward crash dieting, Weight Watchers, and phentermine. And it bled into my adult life. As a kid, I would brush it off like there was something wrong with me. But as an adult, I have found myself distrusting others who show me affection, feeling like I don't deserve pleasure, and being at a full-blown war with my body when I'm hungry. Things told to me by doctors about my weight. Maybe if you laid off the candy, you would lose weight, and that cough would go away. Age 13. To be healthy, you need to starve yourself. Age 18. If you strive for 1 pound a week, you'll be 10 pounds thinner before school starts in the fall. Age 20. I don't have to tell you that you don't look very healthy, right? Age 26. Did 16-year-old Laura know that adult Laura would be sitting at her desk most nights telling people to love themselves? No. She was too entangled in a chaotic environment, being swallowed by her own eating disorder, to ever think she'd make it through college. She was dyeing her hair green with Kool-Aid and trying to match her voice to the monotone stylings of Daria. She wasn't applying herself because she didn't think she had anything to offer. Right around the age of 25, I was living in a shoebox in Brooklyn and paying $500 in rent with 4 other roommates and a dog. I was getting my master's degree in media and production at the New School in the West Village and freelancing at night at MTV2. It was this serendipitous moment in my life when I needed a job close to school so I could easily pick up shifts to pay my rent and continue to take classes that I found a job at the famous sex toy store, The Pleasure Chest. The Pleasure Chest looked like a fun place to spend time that didn't involve school or production sheets or 4 roommates and a dog, though I do love dogs. It was a bit of a safe haven for me, a place where I got to learn about pleasure for all bodies and people, a place where it wasn't weird to ask questions. At the Pleasure Chest, I read every book on the shelves, watched every porn video, learned about every product, and understood what it meant to be body positive, sex positive, and confident. But I still didn't know how to put it into action for myself. Then, everything changed. I was invited to a drink and draw class at a plus-size vintage store in downtown Brooklyn. I still remember walking in, finding a seat with my art supplies, and being totally struck by the model. A fat, queer dream who owned the platform they stood on, fully nude and covered in pearls, feathers, and bright...